Bluey's life is full of fun and joy. After all, she's living the best phase of childhood. But did you know that her grandparents' lives are filled with heartbreaking tragedies? Take Chili's mom, for example. She passed away years ago. That's why she's the only one of Bluey's grandparents who never actually appears in the show, except in portraits or imagined moments from Chili's memories. When the kids visit Grandpa Mort's house, you can tell he lives all by himself. On top of that, Chili talks about her mom in the past tense during the episode Dragon, which is a clear sign that she's no longer with us. Since Bluey never met her maternal grandmother and there isn't a single photo of adult Chili with her mom, it's very likely that Mort's wife passed away a long time ago, probably when Chili was still a teenager or a young adult. Even with such a sad loss, it's clear that Chili treasured her deeply. In Dragon, she mentions that she only learned how to draw thanks to her mom's support, who always told her that you only get good at something if you practice a lot. That episode really captures the bond between the two, one that even death couldn't break. We don't know what caused Bluey's maternal grandmother's death, so all we can do is theorize based on possible clues. It's unlikely she died of old age, since she looked pretty young when Chili was little, which means she probably wasn't older than Mort. Mort is old now, but still healthy, so it wouldn't really make sense for her to pass away years before him if they were the same age. One possibility is that she developed a disease that gradually worsened until it took her life. If that's the case, let's hope it wasn't hereditary, because that could mean Chili might end up facing the same illness. And let's be honest, the writers love connecting emotional dots and making us cry, so it wouldn't be shocking if this is meant to hint at something serious for Bluey's mom. At least we know this isn't going to cost Chili her life, not anytime soon, since she's seen alive and well in a future scene from the episode Surprise. What happened to Chili's mom is heartbreaking, and her story shows that there are some really sad and tragic truths behind Bluey's grandparents. So get comfy, another Cinewave video is just getting started. The one who suffered the most from her passing was Grandpa Mort. He became a widower, and as his two daughters grew up and moved on with their lives, he ended up all alone. These days, Mort spends his time living as naturally as possible, going on long walks through the woods. It's like he's reliving his days as a soldier, trying to cope with the pain of losing the love of his life. The way this old man clings to the past is also clear in how confused he is by modern technology. That's pretty normal for people his age, but maybe it's also a sign that he just can't move on from the time when everything made more sense, when he still had his wife by his side, not just memories and photos. Even though the show introduced Mort and gave us a glimpse of his struggles, we've only seen the beginning of his story arc. It's very possible that another episode centered on Chili's dad is coming in season 4, where he finally starts to heal. Some fans even hope to see him fall in love again and remarry. Of course, we want to see him move past his loss, but whether Mort chooses to find new love or stay single, well, that's totally up to him. Still, it would be sweet to see him have a love story with a lovely senior lady. That is, if Chili's dad stays alive much longer. The show already revealed that he has some health issues. And no, we're not just talking about his terrible hearing, but the fact that he recently had surgery, as shown in the episode Granddad. He was supposed to be resting, but instead, he ran off to play with his granddaughters. Bluey usually keeps these things vague and lets our imaginations fill in the gaps, but it was actually confirmed what made Mort need surgery. He had heartworm, also known as dirophilariasis, a very serious disease that commonly affects dogs. The infection targets the animal's heart and impacts their entire respiratory system, and if it's not treated in time, it can be fatal. Thankfully, Mort got proper treatment before it was too late. If not, Chili would have lost her last remaining parent. That's why in the episode where he's recovering, she keeps trying to get him to rest. Poor thing just doesn't want to lose another loved one. Who could blame her? But we should all stay alert. Mort was really careless during his recovery, and honestly, he's pretty careless with his health in general. That could easily bring him more complications down the road, meaning there's a real chance he might leave us too soon. If you don't want to see that happen, or do want to see it happen for the drama, drop a comment below with #heartworm.
It was yesterday.
On Bandit's side of the family, things aren't looking much better. It hasn't been confirmed whether Grandpa Bob, his dad, ever had surgery or suffers from any illness. However, there are a few hints that he may have health issues we just don't know about, simply because the show is told from Bluey's perspective and she hasn't been told anything. One of those clues is the fact that one of Bob's ears is visibly missing a chunk. Now, this could easily be a harmless birth trait. After all, dogs and cats, like humans, can be born with mutations, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the episode Fairy Tale, we see a younger version of Bob, and that's when we realize his ear used to be totally intact, which means he lost that part at some point between that flashback and his first appearance in the show. Sure, maybe it was just an accident that left a scar, but there's a fan theory floating around in the Bluey community that Bob actually had skin cancer on his ear, which led to part of it being removed. Unfortunately, skin cancer is super common in Australia due to how intense the sun is there. Since the show is Australian, it would totally make sense for the creators to use Bob as a quiet representation of something that happens often over there, even if it's shown through a small visual detail. But that might not be the only sad secret about Bluey's paternal grandfather, because he also seems to have memory problems, to the point of not even remembering his own kids' names. Okay, sure, the guy is old, but he couldn't even remember Bandit's name before he officially got old. That points to two possibilities. Either Bob was a terrible father, or he has a condition that's been affecting his memory and getting worse over time. In the worst case scenario, Bob might actually have Alzheimer's, a horrible, incurable disease that makes people gradually forget things until they lose nearly all of their memories. It's something a lot of elderly people go through in the final stages of life, but the fact that Bob shows signs of Alzheimer's before even reaching old age could mean he has a more aggressive version of the disease. Another sign that something's off with Bandit's dad is his weird absence during, well, basically the whole series. He first showed up in the episode Grannies back in season 1. His second appearance didn't come until Fairy Tale in season 3, and that was just a flashback from when Bandit was a kid. Present-day Bob didn't actually return until The Sign right at the very end of season 3. So yeah, it took over 100 episodes for current-day Grandpa Bob to show up again in the flesh, not just in photos. Seriously, it took so long for him to come back that a lot of Bluey fans started assuming he had kicked the bucket, just like Chili's mom. That theory was thrown out the window with the release of The Sign, where we find out that our beloved grandpa had actually been traveling through India on a journey of self-discovery. Weird excuse, right? Because it kinda is. With so many clues that he might be dealing with health issues, whether it's a history of skin cancer or his memory loss, it's hard not to assume that this whole trip to India thing was just a cover story to hide the fact that Bob had to be hospitalized due to one of his many possible conditions. At least it looks like he's doing better now. We're not doctors who can cure illnesses, but we do know how to cure your boredom with our videos. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new one.
Perfect.
One of the saddest things about Chili's mom kicking the bucket is that it happened before Bluey and Bingo were even born. That means she never got the chance to teach Chili how to raise her daughters properly. In Baby Race, where we see Bluey's mom in the past trying to figure out how to handle motherhood, it's clear that the only older woman Chili can turn to for advice is her mother-in-law, the one Bluey knows as Grandma. In a way, Bandit's mom ends up becoming a kind of mother figure to his wife, since Chili lost her own. That's honestly really sad, but also kind of sweet. Even so, Chili hated Grandma Healer's idea of rubbing olive oil on baby Bluey's knees to stop her from crawling and force her to start walking. It's in moments like that that we realize Bandit's childhood probably wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. From what little we know, Chili's mom seemed way more understanding compared to Bandit's tough-as-nails mother. Her advice would definitely have been super helpful and could have made the Red Healer's parenting journey a whole lot easier. Think the fun's over? Nope. Just click on one of the two videos we left on the screen and keep hanging out with us. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!